It has been a long time coming that Sam Darnold will be exiting New York, ever since they were guaranteed a top 2 pick, presumably to draft Zach Wilson after a few late season wins so they can no longer get Trevor Lawrence. The only shocker here is who he's been traded to. The Carolina Panthers have made a move that could reap huge benefits for them, but even then comes with very large risk. Hey YouTube, my name is Tyler, and welcome back to The Athletic Nerd. Let's start with the trade grades. For the Carolina Panthers, I give them a C-, and that's being very generous. I heavily dislike this trade. For Sam Darnold, I understand that he has a lot of potential, but in 38 career games, he has only thrown for 45 touchdowns to a whopping 39 interceptions. That touchdown-interception ratio is terrible, and he also only completed 60% of his passes. And while I do think that he is better than his box score stats, especially because he did play for the Jets, where they did have a bad offensive line and wide receivers aren't great. Even advanced metrics agree, and even if his advanced metrics are lying too, he's still a bottom 10 quarterback in the NFL at best. And like I said, excuses could be made. He did play for the Jets. He did play under Adam Gase. And even on the film, he did flash a lot of potential, but he also did make a lot of mistakes that even quarterbacks in bad situations may not make. People are saying that he is still very unpolished, that he still might need to sit behind somebody. And he has played 3 seasons in the NFL. I understand that he hasn't had great coaching, but 3 seasons, and people acting like he's like a first or second year guy. But you could mention that he is still only 23 years old. But he's going to be 24 by next season. So even then, he's at least he should be 1 or 2 years removed from college. And there are guys coming out of college that are more polished than him in the past few off seasons. People like Joe Burrow, who was also in a bad situation in Cincinnati, came in rookie year and balled out. He balled out until he got injured. And they did pick up his 5th-year option, but that's going to be over $25 million. That means that the Panthers are already on the books for upwards of $25-30 million, playing a guy that might be worse than a rookie quarterback. And they don't even know if he's good yet. Not only are they committing a lot of money to him, they just traded a 2nd-round pick along with other assets for this guy. And in the short term, he is likely worse than what they already have. People are like, well, they have Teddy Bridgewater. He's not really a flashy guy, but Teddy Bridgewater is the epitome of average. Throughout his whole career, he's been at least average. Maybe slightly below average, but he's around that range. So, and he's not going to push the needle, that is true. He's clearly not the future at the position, but he could at least be a stopgap guy. And if he's a stopgap guy, why not go get one of the rookies that have at least the same amount of potential as Sam Darnold? Because the Carolina Panthers currently hold the 8th pick. And while 3 quarterbacks will go in the top 3, which is likely going to be Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and then either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. So that means that one of those guys, most likely Trey Lance and Mac Jones, will be available at 8. Because Atlanta, well, everybody's like, oh yeah, Matt Ryan's old. Atlanta's not taking quarterback. Even if they wanted to take a quarterback, Matt Ryan's contract is that bad that they can't get off his contract for at least a few more years. And then after that, the Bengals obviously have Joe Burrow. The Dolphins are clearly committed to Tagovailoa. And then the Detroit Lions also can't get out of Jared Goff's contract for at least the next couple of years. So, if you really believe, even if you do believe that Sam Darnold has more potential, he's just as big of a question mark, except that he's older. He's years older than Trey Lance, who's only 20 years old. He's going to be a lot more expensive than them. Even right after this season, he's going to be way more expensive than them. He's more expensive than them now. So why get the more expensive quarterback who's had more years in the league? Sam Darnold has had some nagging injuries in the NFL. Just that doesn't make sense. But the only reason why I think that Carolina should do this was that they really dislike those guys that think will be available. Really, they have to really think that those quarterbacks do not have a future in the NFL. Or that they really love one of the people that will be available. But like I said, the Atlanta Falcons, Cincinnati Bengals, Detroit Lions, and Miami Dolphins, they might take the top 3 pass catchers in Penei Sewell. So what will the Panthers really be getting that's more valuable than a potentially great quarterback? Like, what are they getting? They're getting 1 cheap year versus 4 cheap years for somebody who, even I believe that he has a lot of potential, won't ever crack top 10. Ever. And they give up a second-round pick for that? And even a little bit more than that? Come on, Carolina. You got to do better, to be honest. And then the Jets, I give them an A. Not much to say. They're very simple. They received a high level of compensation for a player that they were going to let walk in free agency. They were not going to pick up his 5th-year option. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, maybe he'd be good competition. Sam Darnold is not the veteran quarterback they need to mentor Zach Wilson at all. He's not. He'll be fighting for his job. He's not helping him at all. There's no reason for having him there. Especially since he will walk and then they get no value for him. And that's another reason I don't like the deal for the Panthers. That if they really, really like Sam Darnold, they wouldn't have had to trade anything for him. They could have let him be a backup this year. And maybe even at midseason, they could have just traded a random pick for him. Or just let him walk in free agency and then sign up for dirt cheap and move on from Teddy Bridgewater. And have essentially the same effect. And obviously, you want to get him in the system as soon as possible. But what's the rush at this point if you're clearly not in love with any of these quarterbacks coming out? And Sam Darnold likely won't be good enough next season to push the needle anyway more than Teddy Bridgewater ever could to help them contend. And that second-round pick will help them a lot more anyway. So like I said, the Jets, though, they still likely do need to add a veteran quarterback. But they also prevent a QB controversy since the media was covering that a lot, talking about whoever wins the job, then you're just going to trade the other. That'd be a waste of the second overall pick because there's a good chance Zach Wilson wouldn't be better than Darnold year 1. And he shouldn't be because Sam Darnold's been in the league for 3 years. Now, how this deal affects the rest of the NFL, it helps teams like the Patriots and even the Bears and football team. Now, this is clearly because these are all potential playoff teams as soon as next season that have really solid cores with bridge quarterbacks, like the Panthers. So, and they're also picking outside of the top 10. So, they don't really have, immediately it seemed like they wouldn't have a chance to get one of these top guys. But now that the Panthers are also out of the running, well, just like the teams are picking 4 through 7, then they have a chance to get their guy. And whether that's trading up through with one of those teams or even staying put because there's not too much of a threat there. And then another team that might benefit from this is the Denver Broncos because they can move on from Drew Lock now. Everybody's like, Drew Lock has potential. He hasn't really shown anything yet. So, and there is a lot of temptation if you can get Trey Lance paired with Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton with more years left because Drew Lock, he's in the same situation as Daniel Jones and them going into his 3rd year. So he has 2 years left on his contract after this. But another thing to watch there is that some of these guys may slip because there is depth to this quarterback class decently. There's guys like Davis Mills who a lot of people are liking, who they think might go at the end of the 1st round, which this definitely isn't true. And then maybe Kyle Trask, even though I would not take him at all. Because he's really just not great anyway. He's not mobile. Doesn't have a great arm. People say he's smart. That's just racist. And then he had a great supporting cast. But I really do like Kellen Mond. I think he's a good potential project there. And that's a closed case. I hope you enjoyed the video. I might have been talking a little fast in this one, but I just wanted to speak my mind on this subject. Subscribe if you would like to see more sports content in the future. I do think that Sam Darnold has the potential to be a very good quarterback. But I don't think his potential is any greater than any of these other quarterbacks that the Carolina Panthers could have taken. But only time will tell. Hope you have a great day. And peace out.